Good afternoon and welcome. This is Megan Mansfield from Accordant Company. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar from Sage titled Sage Field Operations and Sage 300 CRE. Our presenters today are Justin Taylor, Director of Customer Experience, and Eric Diaz, Partner Account Executive for Sage Field Operations. Before we get started, I want to address a few housekeeping items. Everyone is muted for a clean listening experience. If you have any questions, please type them into the questions box. We will collect the questions and address them at the end of the session. For the best viewing experience, please maximize your screen. Today's webinar is being recorded and a link to the recording will be provided via email. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Justin and Eric.
Great, thanks so much. Thanks, Megan. And thank you everyone for your time today. We know everyone has busy schedules here, so definitely want to maximize everyone's time and show you some good information here with Sage Field Operations. We put this webinar together because Justin and I hear every day how many contractors like yourself are looking to streamline the field operations to the back office and begin modernizing their tech stack. So Megan touched on some of the housekeeping items. Just real quick intros here. Again, my name is Eric Diaz, part of the sales team at Sage Field Operations. Always love having conversations with contractors like yourself and discussing areas of improvement. So please feel free to grab my information after the webinar to set anything up there. Justin, you want to give a quick intro?
Sure, thanks, Eric. Hi, my name is Justin Taylor, and I head up the customer experience and success team over here at Sage Field Operations, along with some other things. Been here for about 10 years now. My background before that, I came from HVAC operations. I worked there for 11 years in the office. It was all paper, and I know all the pains of all paper. But yeah, just can't wait to show you some of the product and how it really can help you guys. And thanks for joining us, especially during lunchtime. Thank you. Hope some people are eating while they're watching the show. Thanks, Eric.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Justin. Justin's obviously a great resource for us coming from the industry and living the day-to-day life. So please feel free to ask questions. I know Megan's going to be taking those in as we go through the process. And just to tee off before Justin gets into his part of the demo. So we hear all the time the different industry challenges that you and similar contractors are having, obviously with labor shortages, costs rising. There's really two types of contractors that we're speaking to today that are looking to both modernize, again, their tech stack and become more of that digital transformation, and B, best optimize what they currently have with their staff and use that technology to begin streamlining those communications to, in this case, your Sage 300 investment, and really begin to have stronger reporting, have it become more of a review process on the back end, and really give time back to your day, and again, optimize your current staff. So again, labor, and I know there's many challenges that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, but specifically labor, you'll see in Justin's demo a little bit how the technicians are able to be more efficient on their day-to-day operations. They'll have their assignments at the tip of their fingers through their mobile device. They'll be able to have site history. They'll be able to automatically send time and material back to the Sage 300 system. So again, just becoming more and more productive as the days go on and the months go on, the quarters and the year, to become more of an efficient business overall. And some of the workflows that we're looking to tie that into today, specifically with creating those work orders, how it ties to a budget versus actual. We can also support jobs within the software, as you'll see in demos and Justin's demo a little bit here. We mentioned the time entry. That really becomes more of a review process on the payroll end. Again, giving time back to your team to put it towards other resources within the company. And that whole workflow with quotes and beginning to invoice faster. We hear that's a timely process for everyone out there. So again, better customer experience, more cash flow, and really just improving those workflows overall. And then lastly, before Justin jumps into the demo here, just so you can visualize it, especially for those that are in the 300 world right now, the work orders tie up or sync up to the service management, the edit time entry and invoicing modules, job time entry back to obviously time entry, scheduler with the D board, daily field reports to the project management module, and purchase orders to AP. And as you can see, these are all bi-directional flows. So it really becomes one holistic approach to your service management and your business overall. One last point is obviously there's a better learning curve for your team if you were to move to the Sage Field Operations, because it really is a true extension of the Sage 300 platform. So that being said, I believe I'll hand it off to Justin here now.
Thanks, Eric. Megan, if you wouldn't mind, you're on it.
It's all over it.
And should be able to see the dispatch scheduler now. Correct, Eric?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Well, thanks again, everybody. I'm going to jump right into it. This is going to be, try to show some of the service side and also some of the job side. We can do both within Sage Field Operations, so it's not just service or just construction. And I'll talk about all those areas that kind of Eric brought up there, where it is that true integration back and forth, where I add time here, it automatically goes to edit time entry. If I add time or I adjust time in edit time entry because something is off, it would adjust here in Sage Field Operations. I can create work orders from here, or I can create work orders from Sage, and they're going to automatically, just pulling the next one in line, basically. So there really is that true integration, and kind of think about all the, if you're doing any data entry today, the data entry really goes away. Once, folks are writing this stuff down on their job assignment, their work order assignment, that stuff is flowing where you want it to. So I like to start off on the dispatch scheduler. Here we can see we've got a bunch of different calls. All of the ones from yesterday are gray, which means they're complete. If I hover over these, it actually kind of gives you a little more detail about the work order. The ones on the right, you can actually see that Jay actually has a job assignment attached to him along with some work orders. But the one that Jay's working on right now, we can see is green because he started it. We can use that start and complete functionality to capture the time in the middle, just like you could in service management, or they can add hours to a work order if you want them to be 2, 4, 6, whatever hours they worked on a work order. They don't have to do the punch in, punch out. You can do it that way as well. I will see some folks that will use the punching just so that the dispatcher coordinator, knows which things are started, which things are completed. So, but not associated with the time, just that status change. But there's a bunch of different ways you can utilize that. So I'm looking right now at my team members view. We can see all the ones that are in service management as well, but we can also see the dispatch groups that we've created here in Sage Field Operations. The difference is these ones I can actually associate a job and a miscellaneous assignment with. The ones in service management, I can really do the work orders and that miscellaneous entry, but I really can't do like a miscellaneous assignment, schedule it out, things like that, without having to add time to it. So just kind of a view here. So if you think about your scenario, if you have, this person's responsible for these people and this person's responsible for those people, they would have their own views. If I want to have a view that's just my construction folks, and I want to have a view that's just my service folks, I can do that, or I can mesh some of them together. In my HVAC worlds, my service guys were always doing the startups on the new units, so they were doing both job and work order kind of work every day. If I click on any of the work orders, or this one's actually a job, so if I click on this, it's going to give me more details about the job and the cost code that it's associated with. If I click on a work order, it's going to give me the detail of the work order, so I can see, right now we just have one assignment attached to this. If I needed to assign other people, we find out more people need to go to help out, I can assign new people, new technicians right to the work order from here. If I go to the overview section of a work order, any of the notes that are added, office notes or work order notes or location notes, I'm going to see those automatically. If I click on the location, it's going to bring me right to the history. So we can see here, we've been out here 2 times. So not too often, once in 2022 and once in 2023. If I go back to that scheduler, and I go to something like Bank of America, let's see, we'll go to Bank of America and we go to that history. A couple things different we'll show here. For one, I know we've been at Bank of America a whole bunch, so we can see all the history. We basically decided through Sage Field Operations, we're going to look back the last 1,200 days and see that history. You can really decide how far back you want folks to see history within Sage Field Operations. We also have the ability, and I like to point this one out because this one is just a huge help. We have the ability to add alerts at the location level. So I think about this one from the HVAC days, but we used to work on Aubampan, and we had to bring a 10-foot step ladder to this specific location, or we couldn't get to the water source heat pump. And I would have loved to have some kind of alert that reminded whoever was doing the dispatching and also the tech going to the call, hey, you need to have a 10-foot step ladder. And we just didn't have anything like that, so it was always by memory. Whereas here now, anything special about this location, you can have this alert that shows up top so that anytime you go out there, we pull this location up, we're gonna see that alert. When we generate a work order, the technician can actually see the alert as well. They'll see something special on their assignment page. So if I go to the assignment page here quick. So I'm just switching now to what the technician sees in the field. And right now I'm looking at Northwest Foods, I'm looking at the Stance America, and I'm looking at Pacific. And there's nothing here telling me that there's anything special about these. But if I go back to last week or the week before, and I look at my Bank of America, this one is telling me there's something special about this location that I need to know before I go out there. So whether I'm the tech in the field or I'm opening up that site view in the office, I'm going to know, hey, we need to check out with this person, or this is the safety protocol, or we need that 10-foot step ladder. So just avoiding that trip, and not having the tools you need to get the job done, kind of thing. So that's one, just a huge help. We get a lot of our current customers that have adopted this and love it. You can actually have like a work order alert too. So just for that one trip, I want them to know something special, but you have that site level one where, hey, every time we open up this site, we're going to see, hey, there's something special about this account. I'm going to jump back to the scheduler for a second. We're looking at all the work orders that are scheduled here. We have a day view, we have a week view, we have next 2 weeks and month. I know in Sage we've got the 1-day view or the 5-week view. This gives you a little more flexibility on being able to see everything for the week. Scenario here, say actually I know Jay's not going to get to this. I want to reschedule this for tomorrow. I could drag it out, or I could schedule it for someone else. I could schedule it for another week. If I want to see what's going on next week as I'm looking at my schedule, I could jump to my next 2-week view here, and I could start scheduling stuff out for the next week. This is going to recognize the auto roll and things like that are in service management. So if you're doing that roll feature every morning, this is going to roll all those e-cards that are open from yesterday to today. We see that stuff. We also see all the rate sheets and things like that associated in service management, so that if we're adding any cost in Sage Field Operations, it's going to know by the customer how much to mark up that cost, right? It's going to see that labor rate associated. It's going to pull in that trip charge, that truck charge. So all that stuff we see automatically from Sage. So as we're entering any information, it's there. So if you think about, there's no more data entry. It's really kind of, when you're in Sage, it's more of a review and edit if need to kind of thing. It's not, the data entry is going to be done in the field, and it's going to get to those places within Sage as they're added. So let's generate a new work order. I'm going to pick on my Bank of America. So pull up Bank of America. This is where I'm going to be able to generate it. This is all the history that we've already seen. We can also see any of this location's assets. So this is we're kind of focusing on the HVAC stuff here, so we can see a bunch of the HVAC equipment. We can also see things like the quotes that we've sent out to this location. We have the ability to generate a quote within Sage Field Operations and send it to the customer and track that. We can see specific notes about this location. We have what we call core forms, which I'll show you in a little bit, but these are all the core forms that we filled out that are associated with this account. So you can customize a form within the product, checklist, multiple choice, drop down, stuff like that, and require that someone fills that form out before they finish a service call, as an example. We can also see the agreements, and if they're expired or if they're if they're current. So any agreements associated with the account, we can see those. For those HVAC customers out there, we do have a refrigerant tracker as well, so we can see exactly what went in and out of a unit and actually what went in and out at this specific location as a whole. And we also have an attachment section where any attachments that we've added throughout the years to this location, we can see here. Now we can search these by a specific topic or keyword, so we can narrow down what we're looking at below here. But you can see that we get service report, we've got this picture of the sunset. We have a sketch here. So and I'll kind of show you some of this stuff, but you have the ability to add all this documentation. And think about it, sometimes I need to add the scope of work or plans or something like that from the field. I want to add that so that the field has access to it. I could do that from the office and they would see it here right away, or they would see it on their phone, or vice versa. I'm adding something from the field and the office is going to be able to access that right away because they can pull up that work order and see those details. So let's generate a work order. And this is, when you go in to generate a work order, as soon as we connect to your Sage, 300 CRE environment, we're going to see all your centers. We're going to see your call types, your problem codes, your jobs, your cost codes, all that stuff pulls in automatically as we create the connection. So these are our centers. We would see yours when we pull this up. And kind of go through call types and problem codes. We'll just call this one a boiler service. We'll say no heat. And I'm going to make this one urgent priority. I'm going to keep it assigned to J. And this is the one if I wanted to do the work order. Well, actually, I'll show you the 10-foot step ladder. Make it really big. I'll make it blue. So when I generate this work order, this one's going to end up having 2 alerts, the site level one, which was the safety protocol, and then we need the 10-foot step. So now I can see both. And then within the work order, I can do a bunch of things. I can create that quote. So if we find any kind of deficiencies out there, we want to create a quote or start the quote to send into the office. We have that ability to start the quote here. I can create purchase orders. Purchase orders, you can decide per person who does this. So it's not everybody if you don't want them to be. You can also see any purchase orders that are attached to the work order and you can manage those. And then we can do things like add notes. Here's that assignment that we just created. So let's start Jay on this. He started working. And then you have the options to suspend or complete after. If you guys use things like flat rate today in service management, we're going to see those. Adding hours to the work order, as we can do the punch in, punch out, or we can add the time. I've got it split here right now where we can actually separate the cost and the bill in case they're different. So maybe we're billing the customer 6, but we're only paying the technician 4. Any entry that I add into a work order, I could associate with a specific piece of equipment to build that history of the location, not only by the location, but by the piece of equipment if we want to get that detailed. I'm just going to save that to the work order. And as soon as I save that time, we can see the 4 and 6 hours here. If the technician goes back to their actual assignment page out of the work order, we're going to see that this is only going to show the 4 hours here. And for some reason, the pay type is defaulted right now to meeting instead of regular, but you can default to whatever pay type you want. They're going to see this time here, but you notice they see the 4 because that's what we're getting paid, not the 6 that rose on the bill side. But those times are going to 2 spots in service management. One is the work order. So we're going to see both of those at the work order on the register. And that 4 hours is also going to edit time entry for the pay side. So now you can review everything in edit time entry and then reconcile to send to payroll, but it's already there for you. You could edit it and it would change it here, but the time is going into Sage and to edit time entry in real time. You don't have to import, export, things like that. It's really happening in real time. And the guy's going to always see, or the person in the field is always going to see where they are for time as well. So I added 4 hours for today. And if we kind of look at the bottom, we can see the total is 4 hours for the week. As we add more time throughout the days, throughout the weeks, that's going to keep accruing. And whether it's a work order time or a job time, we're going to see that, or miscellaneous time. Say we had training this morning and we want to track the hour and a half we had for training. I could go to assignment time right here as a technician. Again, if we give them this privilege, and they could say, it's not really going towards a job or a work order, it's a miscellaneous entry. And it was 1.5 hours this morning that I was in training. Maybe I'll save this for 7 in the morning. Oops, it calculated for me instead of I just put 13 hours. So I made a mistake. I put 13 hours. I could actually edit that. Another thing that it does is you can see how it kind of split the time. We have rules at the 8 hours and 40 hours where it would automatically go to another pay type. So if it's, overtime after 8 hours or 40 hours in a week, it would trigger that. And that's why it split the time with 4 and 9. But that's a ton of training. So maybe we get rid of some of that. I could come in here and I could delete or edit. I made a mistake on the time and I could change this. I'm not going to bore you with that, but you do have that ability. On a work order, technicians have the ability to add the notes. They have the ability to add their time, the materials. The notes tab, just like in Sage 100, in Sage 300, you have the internal note and the customer viewable note. You have that same option here. I just quickly want to change this to the phone so you see what this looks like for the folks in the field on the phone. So today we have, I think, between 30 and 31,000 users now using Sage Field Operations. 65% of those are on the phone. 30% are on desktop, which we know is the scheduling piece, and under 10% now is actually tablets. So I don't think you have to go buy a bunch of tablets if you wanted to use Sage Field Operations. Majority of folks in the field, obviously 65%, are really using their phone to do all this. So if I go to today, and I go to my work order, we'll go into this Bank of America, and I go to my notes tab. This is how I can add notes to the work order. It pops it up automatically for me, and I've got those two spots. So whatever I put in here, the customer sees. Whatever I put in here is that communication for the office in the field, but the customer does not see. We can even set it up where we have canned responses. So instead of having to type everything out, we could have descriptions up here, and it would type out the detail for us. I can do that for internal notes as well. So think about any kind of standard repairs or maintenance or things you're doing where the techs are kind of typing the same thing over and over. You could have one of those set so they could just click on that and it would type it out for them. They can always add more, and they can even use talk to text, but just a way to kind of get that paperwork done quicker, make it easier for them so they're not spending so much time and getting that process so that we can bill in the office. Anytime we submit a note, if we want this to go to someone specific in an email, like they need to get it right away, I want my manager to get this, I could check off that person, submit these notes. They're saving right away into Sage 300, into the the register there, the notes tab within service management. But they're also sending an email right now to who I just wanted to go to there, the service manager, with a link right to this detail in the work order, but the notes are in the email. Some folks will use this for that, hey, just so you know, this is ready for invoicing. And they'll in that way that the office knows. Speaking of like the invoicing and how do I know when things are ready to invoice, we also have a dashboard, and we can set up a dashboard with what we call increase. So this one we can see we created 2 work orders today, and we've been failing on invoicing. But if I look at my dashboards, I've got a few here. One is going to show me kind of like a constant ticker of all the quotes that are going out, and I can see there's some new ones here being worked on that haven't been submitted yet. I can also see my work orders that are completed. So the way that a work order completes, and I'm sure most of you know this, but when that last assignment completes on a work order, that knows to complete the work order. So whoever's doing invoicing could have a running view of this. So every time a work order goes into that completed status, they would know it's ready for invoicing, especially if they get that message from the tech as well, and that internal note saying, hey, this is ready for invoicing. You can also have views in here that are, if you wanted to see something that I don't want to see it until it's complete and someone's reviewed it, I could have an inquiry created for something like that as well. And we can see we've got invoices here also. On the job side, just to make sure we talk some about the job side as well. On the job side, we can see a bunch of information. Again, you're creating those in Sage. I can see them right away here. I can't create a job in Sage Field Operations, but I see them as soon as they're created in Sage. I can create the work orders. But if I open up this Northwest Foods or NW Food, I just want to show you the details that we can see at the job level. So first, if I click on this job estimates tab, I'm going to see all the cost codes associated with this job. I'm going to see all the time, the estimated time versus the actual time, and also the unposted time. So in the middle of the week, I'm going to see all those unposted hours that are associated with this cost code at this job level as well. So I don't have to run a special report in Sage, and I don't have to wait for it to cost towards the job at the end of the week to kind of see what's the full time we've had towards that cost code. I can see the middle of the week stuff as well. We can also fill out daily field reports from here. So, kind of switching to that construction kind of, the crew, and we're working on the job site. We can fill out that daily field report on a daily basis. And within the daily field report, this is one of those things that Eric mentioned goes to PJ. But I can see in the daily field report, I can list, for one, I would see who was working on it. 2, I can add any notes, but I can start listing things like, your subcontractor, how many people are out there, what was the weather, any special events that happened. Hopefully OSHA doesn't come out, but if there was some kind of OSHA inspection and we had to record that, and we have that, that visibility. We also have reports. And this is kind of that core forms thing that I was talking about earlier. I'm going to show you one of those here. So here's an example. Hey, I want you to fill this out on the daily field report every day and make sure that we're processing this so that we've done our safety piece. And I could open up this form. And I'll actually show you what this looks like on the phone. And this is what they would see on the phone. So they would see all the job information, and then it's going to start asking them the questions. Just safety glasses. We can actually add photos to this. We can sign off on this. We can actually add a sketch, which I'll show you what that is in a moment. But this, it can be all filled out, and it can actually trigger an email to someone in the office or multiple people. Hey, every time this is filled out, I want this to go to the safety manager. There's actually within the form, you can do things like, if I answer the question this way, then these questions pop up. I can start a form one day and save it as a draft to complete it the next day if we want to. So there's a lot of flexibility. What a lot of folks will actually use the forms for is a help on workflow. We have one customer that's a paint, drywall, and plumbing company, and they'll use it for the 3 stages of work they do in a house. So they, once the plumbing piece is done and it's time to do the drywall, they fill out that section of the form, and it automatically emails the next team so that the next team knows to go out when it's, it's time to do the drywall. And then when that's completed, it actually emails the, the painting team as an example. So really cool things you can do with forms. Let's go back to the big view and back to the assignment page. We look in here, so we've got our crazy amount of hours now, 17 hours for the week, for the day. So Jay worked hard today, but I want to show you the attachments piece as well. So think about attachments. We could go in here from the office and add any kind of scope of work or documentation, things like that we want to make sure folks see in the field. But from the field, I can also add, pictures and things like that, or maybe I get a packing slip, I want to attach that to the work order. Or I did figure out some of the quote for you, and we got a quote from a supply house, and I want to attach that. They have the ability to kind of attach all those types of attachments. If I go to my attachments tab and I go to add attachment, it knows I'm on a computer, so it's going to go right to my library. Let's add a couple attachments here. Add this picture. It was actually the after picture. Just uploaded that. Grab one more, and I could have actually done multiple at once. Just I don't know why I didn't, but I'm just kind of going this way. And I'm going to add before picture. We uploaded that. Any pictures you take and you associate with a work order, and this would work the same on the job or the daily field report as well. Say I want to point something specific out about a picture, I can go to the sketch option, and I can grab the picture that I took. We'll go with the after picture. And then I can draw on this, point specific things out. So this is that fence that I did that you saw this. I'll show you the snow in the other picture. We put a doggy door for our dogs. We've got 3 now. We're a little bit crazy. So we needed a place for them to be able to get outside without me having to always let them outside. This form or this sketch, I can give it a title. It's going to have all the customer information. I give comments. I can send this to someone right away, or I could just save it as another document kind of attached to the work order or the job, wherever I'm filling this out. So now if you look at the bottom, I've got three different attachments here, 1 sketch and the 2 pictures. Inventory, we're seeing the inventory in service management. So I pull, I start searching inventory, and I'm going to see the inventory, and we can see that we've got actually a negative number of this one. We can also see if you want all the stocking locations. So we can see actually John has a positive inventory here. But I can pull from specific inventory when I add this to the work order. I don't have to see everybody. If you just have a main stock or you don't want everybody to see all the inventories, they can just see the one that you want them to see. But in this scenario, we're just kind of showing we could see all. So maybe we want to go to Joe and say, hey, I see you actually have one of those in your truck. Do you really have it? And they're close by. Maybe they're closer than the supply house. We could actually pull it from his stock as opposed to maybe going to the supply house or something like that. But let's just add that. We'll give the quantity. So it yells at you if you don't put in a quantity because it doesn't want to know that. I put it in the wrong spot. Yep. I also have a place to write in, miscellaneous items. So if it's something that we just need to write in, and this automatically added the truck charge, so that we're seeing that from the settings in service management. So it knew to add that, but I can write in whatever I need to as well. When it's the end of the call, we want that customer to sign off on the service report. I can pull up that service report. The first thing that's going to ask me is, hey, do you want to add any of those pictures to the work order? So we can actually embed up to 4 pictures. I can attach more to the email that goes out, but we can embed up to 4 pictures within the work order. So this is what it looked like before, this is what it looked like after. But this can be sent out to the customer. And we can, again, up to 4, on the page if you kind of want to show the history of what happened on the work order that day. We can or don't have to show pricing. We just happen to be show pricing in this work order, so that's why you're seeing it. And down at the bottom, we have the sign off of the customer. We have it set up actually where the employee could sign off as well. Your terms and conditions can be added to the bottom of this. You can actually have a header up at the top of this as well. Of course, this would be your logo over here. And this is, as soon as I accept this down the bottom, it's going to send out to Bob Smith, because that's the contact that we have in Sage 300 that we see right away. And if I hit submit here, Bob Smith is going to get that email. If I wanted to add that sketch along with the, with this service report that's going out to the customer, I could do that as well. So that just got sent off to the customer. A couple other cool things to show. We do have a map view, and this shows you where all the work orders are. And actually these little blue things are actually recent activities of where people kind of punched in or punched out. But I can say, oh, what is this work order? And I could actually click on this, and I could pull up that detail, kind of like we were looking at the assignment page, and I can see, oh yeah, it's open. I'm gonna send someone to that, or I want to add someone else to this work order, and I can assign it on the fly from within the map. But maybe we have someone we know, oh yeah, that's right, that we've got that call further out west. We want to make sure someone is. So I see you're at this call. Maybe I can have you do this one next because I can see where the call is. So we do have that map feature, and it's going to actually show jobs, and it would show work orders all in one view. Last thing that I want to show, and again, this is just a high level overview, so if you have questions as we've been going through this, definitely please kind of throw them in the chat now so that we can answer those. Last thing I want to show you, and this is a new feature that's in beta that we have customers using, but we have the ability to also have a BI tool, so we can see real information in real time. And we can also see not only real information, but we can see projected where costs are going to go as well, as far as service calls in this example. I can click on an individual one. It's going to give me the detail specifically of that individual one, unless it does show me the details like that, but normally it does. We've got about 15 customers that are using this now, kind of giving us feedback, but this is one of those things that, we've been getting a lot of requests for over the years. Change this to maybe equipment type, see if that helps it. I don't know why those blocked out on me, but the BI tool is that extra piece that's going to kind of show that forecasting, but it's also going to show just profitability per technician. If I want to see that, who's my best, who's the least profitable kind of thing. So that's something that's available as well. And I think the last thing that I want to just chat about real quick is, say you guys are thinking, or if you've heard about Sage Intacct as well, and that's going to be a big jump to move accounting systems. One way to make that a little bit less painful is Sage Field Operations connects to both Sage 300 and Sage Intacct. So if we were to get something like this going, and we train the field, and then we train the people that are going to manage those folks in the field, if you moved over to Sage Intacct after that, that's not going to change for them. It's going to look the same. They're going to go in on they leave on a Friday, and you're using 300, and they come in on Monday, and now you're on Sage Intacct, you made the switch over, their assignment page is going to look the same. They're going to know where to add their notes. They're going to know how to look up history. All that stuff is the same. The dispatch schedule is going to look the same. So just kind of think about that if you're kind of planning for the future as well. This is one of those great things that gives you the ability to, let's train the field first. Then when we get, we want to go into the new accounting system, field's good. We just have to work on the accounting side. So just something to think about if that's, something that you're interested in the future. This works with Intacct as well. Thank you very much. And if there's any questions or anything that I can answer, I'd be happy to answer. If anybody wants to set up a session where we kind of get into the specific details and the specific industry you're in and how it would work for you, happy to set something up like that as well.
Thanks, Justin. We do have several questions. The first one is there an APP or accessed via website?
This is the one that I showed you today is via website, and we actually have an app for the Intacct version that we're adding for Sage 300, but I think it's Q1 of next year that the app's going to be there. in the past, we had an app that honestly didn't work great, so we revamped an app, and we're just we were worked on an Intacct first, but it's coming to 300 as well. But what we
Okay.
see, when I talked about the 65% people, I was talking about them using the web app on their phone, because it looks like a mobile app when it's on their phone.
Great. Another question. Can you attach videos? This came up while you were
Yes, you
showing
can.
how you can.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, you can
excellent.
attach, I think it's up to a 50 meg video, but you can do a short video and attach it to the work order as well.
Excellent.
Or the job or the daily field report, anywhere you need to add it.
Next question. Does it accommodate HEIC format images like from the iPhone?
Yes.
Okay, great. And one more. Is there a notification system to alert the tech of a new assignment?
Actually, yes, they can. The way that we do that is there's a way to, on the status, change an assignment. So if I'm on the scheduler and we can say, hey, I want them to know they got an assignment when it's in open status. So anytime we assign something to a technician, it automatically is an open, it would send them an email saying, hey, you got a new one. But we could also trigger it so that it doesn't send it out until you kind of want it to, where I could say, hey, I don't want to send the notification until, let me go to one that's not started. I don't want to send the notification until it's acknowledged or notified, and that would trigger the email to go out. So I can do it automatically on the work order generation as I assign it to the person, or I could say, no, I want to trigger the email when I change the status of the assignment from open to notified, or whichever one I really want to change the status to. Yes, the answer is yes.
Excellent. One question for me, when will this be emailed to us? I'm assuming that means the recording. I will email everyone who attended with a link to the recording late this afternoon. One more question for Justin. How do the forms work? Fillable and sent via PDF or as content inside of an email?
PDF. They automatically turn into PDF once you fill it out as part of the process. So you can email it out. You can email it out as a PDF.
That's great. Thank you. Any other questions? We've had quite a few. Give it a minute or so. Anybody? Any more questions? Well, if not, then again, Justin and Eric, thank you so much for your time. This was a great webinar, and we appreciate everyone joining us, and have a great day.
Yes, thank you. I know it's not easy to get block out time, so thanks everybody for joining. Really appreciate it.
Have a
Thanks,
great day,
everyone.
everyone. Bye now.
Bye.